Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Buenos días para todos. I hope everybody is doing well today. For those of you who are waking up right now and just beginning the day, my name is Adriel, and I'm going to talk to you today about something a little bit different from our past classes. In our past classes, we talked a lot about everyday conversation, such as traveling, small talk, answering the phone, writing emails. Today, I'm going to take you to a little bit more of business-based vocabulary about making decisions and solving problems. So today, I'm going to show you the first part. When we make decisions and solve problems, again, we have to think about what it means to make good decisions. What is a good decision, for example? Is a good decision something that, again, is it something that you think about very carefully, or is it something that you have to make after an experience? So we see this quote here from Mark Twain: "Good decisions come from experience. Experience comes from bad decisions." So, for those of you who are here with me right now, I want to know, do you agree with this quote? Do you think this quote is funny? Do you think it is amusing? Don't worry, I can wait for you. Good morning, Matt. Good to see you again. Hope you're doing well today. Um, Wherever you are you calling me from Spain, Matt? Are you calling me from somewhere else? You can let me know. Again, this is going to be a little bit more business based today. Uh, yeah, yeah, it's a pretty good quote because again, you have to live a little bit. You have to make bad decisions to make good decisions. That's really the idea. Okay, cool. You're from Barca. Nice. Cool. Excellent. Yeah, and just the question is, are you a decisive person? What is something that you find easy to decide on or difficult to decide on? Give me some examples of that. Some of you coming in, I maybe will let you have some time to breathe, to enter, have your coffee, whatever you need to do. Again, we can go as slowly as possible with this topic. Uh, would you say that you're a decisive person, a person that is good at making decisions? What are things that you find easy to decide on or difficult to decide on? Hmm. Well, for example, when we wake up every day, right, we already make decisions, right? That there are things that we have to do in our personal life, right? There are things that we have to think about, that we have to make sure we do. There are things that we have to do when we go to work. We wake up early in the morning and there's decisions we have to make. There's problems we have to solve. Some of these decisions can be easier than others. But my question to you is really, when we think about making decisions, what are some everyday things that we make decisions on? Maybe something that has to do with, let's see, maybe something that has to do with waking up early in the morning. You have to maybe have your coffee. That's probably one of the first most important things. Yeah. So I have a comment here from Matt that if you don't, so you don't have a bad experience, so you don't leave bad habits or bad knowledge. Yeah. I would say that you don't create bad habits, right? It's something that you don't make bad habits, right? It's something more that we create ourselves or make. So, but it's good. It's a good answer. Yeah. Um, Hello, hi, Javier. Good to see you. Where are you calling from today? Thank you for waking up this early to listen to a lecture on decision making and problem solving. So, how decisive are you? One thing just to keep in mind with the title, as you see that I italicize the words how and are. Um, in English, it's not a tonal language, but there are stresses in words. There already are. So if I say decisive, decisive, the sound is right? Decisive. That's the stress. But if we can stress any word we want if we want to stress the meaning. So how decisive are you? Right? And you can say it faster. Maybe you can repeat after me. So, how decisive are you? How decisive are you? You see how I kind of make my face sort of go like this when I'm speaking, because again, we're really stressing that information. So, I'm going to give you a few situations, and I want you to decide yes, no, or depends. So, situation number one, you're writing an important paper. The deadline is tomorrow, but it's your partner's birthday. Do you work late to finish the paper? Okay, good. Good. You're from Toledo. Yeah, yeah. Beautiful city. I love Toledo. I spent one day in Toledo. Beautiful city. Yeah, amazing history. Uh, yeah. So the deadline is tomorrow, but it's your partner's birthday. Do you work late to finish the deadline? Because again, it's tomorrow, so you need to make sure that you finish the paper. So, what decision do you make? You can spend some time thinking about these because again, there is no right answer. You'll work late to finish. Okay. Man, I mean, I feel like I probably would do the same thing, but yeah, it depends on your priorities, right? Yeah, it's good. So it also depends on your personality. I mean, I know that maybe when I was younger, when I was in university, it was easy for me to go to a party and then go back and then write a paper until 3 in the morning, right? So, you know, it's interesting, right? I mean, again, we have to think about our priorities, right? But it's true. If you can do it, if you have the ability, and you know it's important and the birthday is important, you can probably do both. But you should also know your limits, as we say in English, know your limits. So, number two, here's another situation. A friend gives you a tip for an investment. You could either make or lose a lot of money. Do you take his or her advice? Um, just first thing here, of course, is what do you know the vocabulary here for tip when someone gives you a professional tip or a business tip? What is a tip? There's really two ways that we use tip. What is the word tip? Yeah, you think you might know this one, but just want to know. Someone gives you a business tip. Yeah, consejo. Yeah, consejo, or as we say in advice. Advice. Yeah, advice would be the right one. So advice is what they say. A tip is also something in a restaurant, right? Tipping is something that we do religiously, I would say, in the United States, because service is never included. We usually leave a tip on the restaurant table for someone who is serving us. So I don't know. I can't remember if you tip in Spain. Maybe sometimes you leave something. Yeah, yeah. It's not even just free money. It's like extra money, right, for good service. Extra, like saying thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's the kind of thing. Um, Yeah, that's good. So just to talk about this question again, what do you do in this situation? Do you take your friend's advice? You could lose or make a lot of money. Do you take the advice? Again, there's risk. This is a word we use, right? Risk in business. Risk is an important word. It tells you that you could win it all, you could lose it all. So, what do you do in this situation? What advice do you take? And you can think about it again. It's something to do with money. So anything to do with money is something that you should think a lot about. You should think carefully about the situation. Mm. Okay, so you will take advice. All right. Yeah, you can use the future simple. Yeah, you will take advice from your partner. Okay. And okay, then I guess you're okay with a little bit of risk. I'll see if Matt answers soon, but let's go to number three. Uh, Again, you get a job offer to work for a boring job that's in a nice city, right? You get paid two times more than your current salary. Do you take the job? This, I think, is a big uh so so again just to say with Matt, yeah. Again, when we take a tip for an investment, it's advice for an investment. So if you take your friend's advice, right, his or her advice, you could make a lot of money, you could lose a lot of money. So so the but again, if you take the advice, it's a risk, but and Javier's saying he has a lot of money, so why not? But let's think about something a little bit less, how do we say, philosophical. So, for example, you have this one for number three. You get a job offer to work for a boring job that's in a nice city. You get paid two times more than your current salary. Do you take the job? This is a very this is something that a lot of people think about when they are trying to get a better job or find a more interesting life. Yeah. What do we do for number three? I think this is a situation that a lot of people have experienced before. They have seen this situation. Mm. Yes. Anything at all? You don't have to be shy to answer. All right. So, a comment from Matt. Yeah. At the beginning, I didn't take the job. So, in this case, my experience tells me, right, the third person, that it is not a clean job. Well, when we say, I guess, a clean job, you could say a safe job, right? I mean, the problem is that if it's not if it's not a job that you're interested in, then maybe you don't want to take it, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't have the job. Do you take the job? That's the question. Do you accept the job? Right? Do you want it? Again, it really depends. It depends on a lot of situations. We could say yes or no, but we could say depends. So when we have functional language for decisions, when we make a big decision, we organize the following ideas. We have objectives, we define them. define them. Yeah. We have priorities. We choose them carefully. Analysis. We collect all the data we need. Alternatives. We consider our options. Pros and cons. We monitor the effects. And in the final decision, we implement it. So again, this is new vocabulary here, right? So so the idea that we have to say is what the new vocabulary is. These are, we can find synonyms for these. For example, with define, we can say that maybe we understand what our objectives are. If we have priorities, we select our priorities. We select them, right? We have to be careful. With the analysis, we collect the data we need, right? We choose, again, it can be choose, but there's a very big difference between choose and collect. Remember, when we choose, we're thinking about something specific. When we collect, we're getting all the information from a big quantity of information. So again, there's different synonyms here. The words can seem very similar, but there's differences in how we use them. So another one here is consider your options. Consider means to, right, to really think about your options. Think about. We monitor the effects, right? Means we look at the effects. And then we have the final decision, which is implement. What is the definition of implement? What does this word mean, implement? What does it mean to implement a final decision? Execute. Good. Doing it. Yeah, exactly. So implement is just the way of saying, like, in the end, we have to execute. We have to really do it. We have to make a final decision. So again, here, which of these for you are the most important or the least important? Yeah, take it into take. You can say take it into practice. Into practice. Yeah. So, which of these are the most important or the least important of these ideas? For example, when you are at work or when you are making a decision in your life, uh, which of these are the most important things? Which of these are the most important? Yeah, yeah. No, you don't have to apologize. You're all doing very good. I really like your answers a lot. So, um, yeah. But again, what do we do here? What's the most important thing for you on the list when you make a big decision? Could be for your life. It could be for your work. What's what example can you give me of the most important thing, the most important idea on the list? What's the least important idea on the list? Okay, so your purpose, that's from Javier. Okay, your purpose. So I guess that would be the equivalent, the same as maybe your objective. Yeah, your objective. That would be similar. Yeah. Priorities. Yeah, good. The most difficult to do is implementation. That's great. Yeah, excellent. Brilliant. Yeah, I would say that that's true, right? There's sometimes we have a word in English, it's a verb, right? To procrastinate. To procrastinate, this is a verb that means that you do something at the last minute. So you spend all this time saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Yeah. So priorities, objectives, I would say, yeah, these are the most important things. I think most people think about that. But I think one thing that we have to think about it. Good morning, Oscar. Good to see you. Yeah, define objectives. Yeah, the most important thing I think is to think about this. Yeah, objectives, priorities, very important. But what about pros and cons? I feel that pros and cons are very important, but the question is how important, right? I mean, pros and cons, I feel, should be high on the list, should be up on the list. Do you think pros and cons should be higher on the list? You think it's yeah, cool. All right, from Cantabria, beautiful, beautiful region. I hope to visit one day. I have been to the Basque Country. I lived in Galicia for 1 month, but I have not been to Asturias, Oviedo, Cantabria. So one day, one day. Yeah. Um, yeah. So when we think about this, pros and cons, are pros and cons, to me, it's one of the most important things. Do you agree that pros and cons is one of the most important ideas on the list? Ah, good morning. I have good morning from Barcelona, from Laura. Good to see you. Welcome. Today we're talking about decision making and problem solving for business vocabulary. So again, if you have any questions about the vocabulary or if you want to participate with the questions, uh, please do. It makes the class more fun. Yeah, so a comment from Matt. Yeah, you agree that the pros and cons are quite important. I think they are too. Again, we have to think a little bit about, we have to think a little bit about what's important, what is a positive result or a negative result. So I'm going to, because I have some of you that are very, very brave, right? We would say people who you're very, very brave for waking up early this morning to watch a language class. I'm going to show you something on phrasal verbs and expressions for decision making. So I'm going to show you first one, right? To change one's mind and to make up one's mind. What is the difference between these two? Hmm. Yeah. What's the difference between to change one's mind and to make up one's mind? Okay, so to make up one's mind is to consider. Okay, I have a good answer from Javier. That's to consider something, right? To make a decision. Really, make a decision. What does it mean to change one's mind? To change one's mind. What's another synonym? You changed my mind. I changed your mind. That's how we use it. Yeah? You need to change your mind on something. Hmm. Mentality. Yeah, it's kind of like it can be like a mentality, a new paradigm. Okay, good. Good vocabulary. I like it. I enjoy it. Um, yeah, well, it can be. It can be. I think, for example, when you talk about a paradigm, it's really you talk about a sort of a fundamental idea, right? So that's why we say, for example, to a paradigm shift. It's a very, I would say, very advanced word, but a paradigm shift really means a big change. So, for example, COVID-19 crisis is a paradigm shift for our planet right now. So, so yeah, it maybe changes our minds about things, right? So I have a comment from Matt, which is to balance your mind. Well, you could say another thing you could say is to even out. again, I don't want to teach too many phrasal verbs because these can get really strange. But like, for example, to balance your ideas, right? To balance your ideas. Now, the thing is when when you change someone's mind, you change their mentality. I like that idea. And when you make up your mind, yeah, you consider your ideas, you consider your options. So here's two other ones that are interesting: to take into consideration and to give it a lot of thought. To take into consideration and to give it a lot of thought. What is the difference between these two? Yeah. Yeah, good. So I have a few extra comments from Laura and Matt. Yeah. So Laura saying change one's mind is to change the way you think. Yeah, that's good. That's another way to say it. And for Matt, it's to adapt your mind. What is your mindset about? You can flex your mind. Flex your mind. That's good. It's a good way to say it. Yeah, it's like your brain is like a muscle that you flex. Um, what about taking something into consideration or giving something a lot of thought? What is the difference of these two verbs? Again, they're expressions, but they're also phrasal verbs that become an expression. So, like when I say, for example, I gave it a lot of thought. I will take it. I'll take it into consideration. But there's a difference between these things. I mean, a little bit. Yeah. So take into account. Okay. All right. Brainstorming. Yeah. Good. Good. Great. Yeah. Nice. And we're going to actually talk about that word soon, Matt. I actually wanted to know, in Spain, do you use the word brainstorming? Because in France, where I live, we now use brainstorming. It's kind of become a universal word. So if you use it, yeah, it sounds like everybody here uses it. So you're how do we say ahead of me? Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it's even just the French or the Spanish. I think it's become just a global word, a kind of like meeting. I think meeting is a word that more cultures are using. So maybe I should have chosen more difficult vocabulary for you this morning. Next time. So yeah, so to meditate, yeah, like sort of really, really think carefully about something. Yeah. Yeah. It's good in France too. Yeah, we know this word. It's used. Actually, surprised me. I didn't know this when I moved to Europe. I'll give you two last comparisons: to make a rash decision and to make a tentative decision. So this might be little bit more complicated, but what again? What's the difference between these two? To make a rash decision, to make a tentative decision. They're a little bit different. Again, we have to be careful when we use this vocabulary because it's not always very obvious. It can be very different. So, yes, any idea? Can wait for your answer. hmm what is the big difference of making a rash decision, making a tentative decision? Mhm. Apparently, I have to comment from Javier right now. Well, um, I mean, maybe. I mean, it really depends on your opinion, but um, making a rash decision can just be making an immediate decision, right? Yeah, it's a quick decision. I have the thing from Matt. Yeah, and a tentative decision is a preventative decision. So again, um, I would say that Javier, you're right with the lovely decision part because you thought a little bit more about the situation. So it's not just, it's not just like you said, that's it. I made my decision. That's it. It's a rash decision. It's an aggressive decision. When you make a tentative decision, again, it's preventative. It's something that you gave a lot more thought. So what's the difference between these phrases, right? I mean, they seem so similar, right? I mean, I would say we just have to be very careful because they when we use this vocabulary, we really change the meaning. To me, they all mean similar but very different ideas about decision making. So this is why we have to remember we have to use these expressions, use this new vocabulary when we solve problems. So we're going to spend the next half hour talking about problem solving. And the first thing is, how is solving problems different from making decisions? Are both ideas connected? Let's think a little bit about, for example, a situation at work, situation in your personal life. How is solving problems different from making decisions? But how are both ideas connected? Are they connected? When we make a decision, do we solve a problem? When we solve a problem, well, I guess we did make a decision, but I'd like to hear it from you. How are both ideas connected? How are they together? And again, you can have a quick answer here with me. I'll wait for them to come in as we continue the slideshow. So again, solving problems means also offering and suggesting solutions, right? That's the way we have to see it, right? And there are 4 steps to problem solving that we can look at today. The first one is defining the problem, brainstorming solutions, again, vocabulary that you already are familiar with, reviewing ideas, selecting the final solution. Any other options that you would add? Anything else that you would like to see on this list? You can let me know. Maybe other things that I didn't think about. Other things maybe we should consider when we're making decisions and solving problems. If you think it's a perfect list, we can go on. But I would love to have your feedback, your answers on live chat. Yeah. So just getting in some answers here from Javier and Matt. Thank you both for participating today. Javier is writing, I think you're saying redefining the initial problem. Remember initial with a T, but it's good. Yeah, it's good. And Matt, yeah, he says, I think if you take right decisions, you will avoid serious problems. And frequently, you need to solve problems by taking decisions. Remember our gerund class yesterday. Remember to apply the gerund. But yeah, that's good. It's very good. I would say these are great answers, right? I'm saying here or maybe the initial situation problem. The verb, I'm not sure on the verb. Are you saying to maybe to like to reconsider or to organize? Maybe, yeah. Again, but exactly. If you think about the initial situation problem. That's good. Redefine. That's a good one. And for Oscar, I'm seeing to meet a leader to take decisions. Okay, yeah. We call that. There's actually a word for that. We call that to delegate. To delegate. To delegate. Yeah, that's the verb. So if you delegate to a leader, you delegate to someone, you communicate with them about something. Yeah, and don't worry about any typos or anything. Remember, this is a place where you can feel safe to express yourself and make as many mistakes as you'd like. If you want, I can speak some Spanish and I can make some mistakes too. So don't worry. Here, it's very good to express your ideas. That's what I want to see. Yeah, so just more comments coming in from Matt. There are many procedures about solving problems. For example, in the automotive industry, RCA, 8D, PDCA. Yeah, not things I very familiar with, but yes, exactly. Procedures, processes. Good. Yeah. And yeah, and Laura saying maybe think about pros and cons of final solution. Yeah, I would say again, we talked about that earlier. Adding pros and cons is probably a very good idea. So, so let's solve a problem. Just as making decisions, solving problems requires our time and attention. So, what are some everyday problems you face at work or with others? How do you solve these problems? How important is creativity when solving a problem? Again, let's think about this a little bit. Let's think about, I want to hear a little bit of stories from you for those of you who were working before or you work now or in the past. Maybe tell me a little bit about everyday problems you face at work or with others. How do you solve these problems? Do you have to make a rash decision? Do you have to make a tentative decision? Really consider? How important is creativity when solving a problem? Do you have to be creative when you solve your problem? So, what's uh, what's something you can tell me here today? Again, no problem with sort of thinking about it. No problem quickly responding. Yeah. So I have a comment here from Sergio, yeah, that says I thought to try to see solutions in a balanced way. Yeah, okay, so that's good. Yeah, in a balanced way, in a transparent way, right? You have to be very sort of you have to be very, I think, understanding, right? So so when we are at work, what can you tell me something that you a problem that you see that you face at work? How do you solve them? How important is creativity? Does anyone have any work stories that they want to tell me about? Hmm. Anything here? I can wait for your comments whenever your comments arrive. Ah, good. So I have a comment from Javier. Cool. And you're saying, for example, when we face a familiar decision, we need a lot of creativity and power. Yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, you need to have power. You need to be creative. I really think this is an important thing. And if you and again, it really depends how you are creative, right? Again, we talked earlier about how when we make a decision, you can say yes, no, or depends. Yeah, communication. Yeah, again, depends isn't always the right answer. It can be for any situation, but it really depends on you, on your creativity, on maybe how you see this problem. How do you consider this problem, right? So We're going to. I'm going to show you a little bit of a game here called the quarantine problem. And again, this is just it's just a game. It's just a fun game. It's not talking about. Let's just say that you are quarantined in your office for the weekend with two colleagues. Help is on the way, so they will have you escape the office. You can they will come in and they will help you, but only in 2 days. So you have one giant kilogram packet of potato chips, one large pot of cold coffee, a laptop computer, an extra battery for the laptop, a pen, a telephone book, milk, a pair of scissors, first aid kit, and a roll of tape. Let me know if there's any new vocabulary here. You can only choose 5 items. Which do you choose and why? So again, this is just something that I kind of bring as a game because I just kind of want to see what decisions you make, how you solve this problem. Remember, it's you with two colleagues. You're quarantined in your office. You cannot leave for 2 days. So you can only pick 5 of these items. Um, you don't have to, you can pick 5, but you can maybe tell me which ones are the most important and why. Um, so again, I'll wait for your answers to come in. But for the moment, I'll read this comment from Matt. For example, he says, in my cases, when we have a quality or security issue in the company, uh, we open an RCA to analyze the problem, to identify the root cause, and to generate actions to solve as soon as we can. Okay, cool. Yeah, good. Yeah, so you work with a company that really brainstorms and implements the best course of action, as we would say, the best final idea. Um, so yeah, so just going to the quarantine problem, what should we do here in this situation? You can only pick 5 things. Why do you pick them? So let me know. I'm curious to see what your answers are. Okay, so an answer from Sergio. Is there something to cook the potatoes? Now, remember, these are potato chips. These are chips. They're like the little snack food, right? That you open up a bag and you eat them. In England, they call them you call them crisps. In the United States, we call them chips. Yeah, it's a little bit strange because chips in the United Kingdom are actually fries. Yeah. Anyways, so something to eat. Okay, good. Yeah, I think the same thing. Yeah, something to eat is important. So if you want something to eat, we don't have very many things to eat. So all food for 2 days. So that would be the potato chips. That would be the coffee and the milk. So that is all you have. So food and drink from Javier, okay. And then laptop and extra battery to work and telephone book. Okay. So a telephone book. Do you do why the telephone book? Why is the telephone book very important? Is there anything else on the list that's very important that maybe you should choose? Why should you choose it? Anyone have want to help out our our colleagues stuck at the office? They cannot leave. It's an emergency. Okay, so so it's good. So Laura says first aid kit. Good. I think the first aid kit is definitely one of the most important items on the list. For Matt, we have milk, first aid kit, roll of tape. Ah, interesting. Coffee and laptop computer. Okay. Matt, why did you pick the roll of tape? Just. I'm interested to know. Um, yeah. So again, we have a few things that we don't agree on. So we need to find one thing we don't agree on. So we have the roll of tape. We have the pair of scissors. We have the telephone book and the pen. Okay. So that's four things we don't agree on. We need to pick one. So again, roll of tape, pair of scissors, telephone book, and a pen. Do you agree? Which of these is the most important? Can you pick the most important for me? Can you all agree on an idea? Have you worked together to? Is the pen very important? Is the telephone book important? Is the pair of scissors important? Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe you can call with the laptop. It's possible. I don't know. We could see. There's yeah. Hmm. Does anyone have an extra item they agree on? We have to work together to save our colleagues. It's an emergency. Very important. Mm, okay. I have a comment from Sergio saying that scissors are important to defend yourself in arguments. Oh, okay, so definitely you make a rash decision if you have the scissors. So I don't know if everybody agrees, but um, okay, but this is so it's interesting. Everybody agrees on one thing. We agree on food, we agree on the laptop, and we agree on maybe the extra battery. And now we have, yeah, e-commerce. Good. You could order food with a drone, right? A drone. But not everybody agrees on the scissors, the book, the pen. Now, when we're making a big decision in a team, remember there will always be something that we don't agree on. And we have to figure out how we work together as a team to make the right decision. So I'm going to show you a little bit of a grammar review on conditionals. Conditionals are something we use when we're trying to make a decision. We give an opinion about maybe a result, something in the future, or we talk about something in the past. So in the future, we make decisions, solving problems. We rely on conditionals using if to reach conclusions. So, for example, future reference conditionals, the if clause introduces a possibility, and the main clause shows what the result will be. Can anyone in the comments, the live stream, give me an example of a future conditional, a future reference conditional using if? So if I or if you, how do we use one using the future reference, the future verb conjugation? We could use the example of the quarantine, like for example, if I use, like for example, if I choose the scissors, then what do we say? If I choose the laptop, then you can use the items from the last exercise. You don't have to think about something too complicated. But I just want to see how you use the future conditional with the if clause. So what do you have for me? What's your big plan to to help us this weekend when we're quarantined in our office? Anybody interested in saving saving your colleagues' lives? If I stay at home, I will be safe. Okay, yes. So talking about the quarantine, the real quarantine. If I stay at home, I will be safe. Good. Yeah, that's good. If you choose a laptop from Javier, you will buy new things for your office quarantine. Yeah, and that's a good idea. I think the laptop is kind of the maybe the best choice, really, more than the food, right? So and let's see through e-commerce. Yeah, good. All right, so that's a few good examples. Yeah, there. It's again, it's very simple. This is what we call a type. This is what we call a type one conditional, where if we use the present simple and the future simple, if we make a decision now, we'll finish this project, right? Using the contraction of we will. Um, and past references conditionals, sorry for the typo, it's not past, it's past reference conditionals. If the if clause is used to talk about past speculations. Why do we do this? So this is a little bit more complicated. We have to talk about the past reference. So if I choose the scissors, I'd just use them in arguments, okay? From Sergio, yeah. So Sergio's very dedicated to the scissors. Like, be careful if you get quarantined in an office with him. So, do not disagree with him. Listen to him. Um, so for a past reference conditionals, if the if clause is used to talk about past speculations, what can we say? If this is a more difficult one, I gave you a more difficult one because again we have to remember that maybe a problem happened, right? We had a problem. Okay, we have to use the past reference conditional to talk about it. So what's an example of this, the past reference conditional? Can you give me an example using if? Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so I put this in for fun. I think I don't want to scare you with it, but I need you to know that when you want to get to the next level of English, you're going to, if you're going into intermediate, you're going into almost advanced. It always takes a long time, but conditionals are one thing we do to practice. So I'll give you an example. If he'd taken his accountant's advice more seriously, he wouldn't have a struggling business right now. Okay, so this is something that, again, we need to sort of realize that it's a little bit more advanced. I put it here just for you to know that this is what you will see in the future. When you're talking about things in the future, it's very simple, right? It's why we call it the present simple, the future simple. Here we're saying if he had taken his accountant's advice, that's the past perfect, he wouldn't have a struggling business right now. But that's again, it's the present simple. So it's not too complicated. It's just that we have to remember we use the past perfect when we talk about something that's the past of the past, the past of the past. Okay, so if I had eaten the chips, my stomach, well, you could say, wouldn't hurt right now. Wouldn't hurt right now. Yeah. If I had eaten the chips, my stomach wouldn't hurt. Yeah. Again, it's saying that if you had done something, then there's a result now. So again, it's not too different from how we use it. If we say, if I had, for example, if I had gone to Spain, right? If I had gone to Spain, I would be in quarantine in Spain. So again, we're talking just about something that's the past of the past. It's something that we have to think about when we think about problems that happened and things we should have done. Again, if you followed me for the past classes, going back to modal verbs of could, should, and would, right? Don't worry about this too much. Just if you want, you can look it up. It's past reference conditionals, and you can practice it, and it's pretty fun. So we have a few minutes left, so I'm going to close here with you. So improving your abilities to think and analyze information in your target language is a great way to improve it because you're working with more complex language. We have a tendency, we have a habit to make things very simple, and this is very good, but then we stay. So the interesting thing about learning a language is when you get to intermediate, after that, going up to advanced is really difficult. I mean, it's really difficult. I mean, I just now with French, I feel like I've gone into advanced, and after years and years of studying and living. So again, it's getting to this level is for life. It's a lifelong lesson, but that doesn't mean you can't already express ideas in a complex way. So again, when we live in a more interconnected world, decision making and problem solving has become faster and more complex. So this means we have to be very careful to use precise and logical language and also learn language that really means a more complex idea. So learning your conditionals, increasing your vocabulary will improve your image as well as your company's image. Again, it's not something you need to do, right now. The idea is that as you as you continue to advance, these are things to start to look at. And because they are used a lot, especially if some of you are in the business world, or you have your business, or you want to become more international, you want to work in another country and speak English, uh, people are demanding this level. So instead of being, for example, discouraged, right? I want to encourage you to look at some of these ideas. So again, conditionals, vocabulary, and looking at more complex ideas. But from what it looks like, I mean, I really liked your comments today. It sounds like you already have these ideas that you think about. And that's true. When we speak in our native language, it's very easy when we know complex ideas. The idea is we know these ideas, the decision making and the problem solving. But the idea is how do we express the same idea using a new language? It's a mystery, but the idea is finding somehow a way. And one final suggestion I give is if you look at, for example, things you have to solve in your job or your life. Try to talk about these things using English. You might be surprised that you might actually find the solution using English. So it's something to think about. So again, just as a final closer, my name is Adriel. I am a professional instructor that gives classes on italki. Italki.com is a great website for taking classes with professional teachers such as myself, language tutors, finding language partners. It's a great website to use to achieve your goals in learning your target language. I want to thank you all for being here this morning. It's a very nice group this morning. I really liked talking with you and having your answers. Very, 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 very interesting answers. And again, really, really, really cool ideas. Every time I do these, I always see new ideas that I didn't think about. So I hope to see you around soon. Italki sent my link right there in the chat. And for the time being, I wish you well during the COVID-19 crisis. I wish you good health, safety, and I wish you also good thoughts in this very, very difficult time at home. Thank you once again, and have a great rest of your day.